that guy who used to be on Seinfeld, that comedian, when he started yelling the N-word, when he started yelling the N-word at that nightclub, everyone condemned him. That is moral sanction, and it is a part of the system that that enforces certain kinds of self-censorship and a certain kind of speech code. And I would argue that in some ways, it is the robustness of that system that actually preserves the strength of the First Amendment, in the sense that when you have racially incendiary things, socially divisive, expressions or whatever, the government doesn't have to worry about whether it should ban them if society's system of moral sanction is keeping them subdued. So I think, you could argue that, people are calling, whether these cartoonists or the guys who made that kind of dopey North Korea movie, heroes of the First Amendment. I would argue people who criticize these kinds of expressions that they think are offensive or dangerous and are part of the system of moral sanction, I think they're also heroes of the First Amendment. In fact, I'm sure of that than I am that the guys who made the North Korea movie are. But
okay. Here's the thing, though. I mean, I think that the criticism of these things is absolutely necessary, and that's what tends to get lost. But I mean, it is the case that free speech is often defended by people who are vile. Like Larry Flint is a vile man.
Right.
The publisher of Hustler, right? Like, there's no question that the contents of Hustler are just beyond the pale of human decency, right? But in some ways, it almost has to be those people who are the test cases for free speech because I mean, if you're a reasonable person, David Broder is never going to be a free speech test case, right? Because he's completely middle of the road.
Some of us might say he should be, but no, he won't be. Okay, fine, but nobody's questioning. I'm not questioning the legal right. I would defend the legal right to do this stuff. And in a way, the question I'm asking is people are saying, okay, now that these guys have published this and gotten killed, it is incumbent on those of us who protect the First Amendment to republish the cartoon. Some people are making that argument, and some people are doing that. And I just, I don't think that's the case. I think it's totally legitimate for somebody like me to continue to actually criticize the publication of the cartoon. In a way, I'm saying I'm not going to let a bunch of terrorists convert me from someone who has one opinion about the kind of propriety, not the legality, the propriety of publishing something, to somebody who has another opinion all of a sudden.
No, but see, I think I definitely disagree with that, because I think, once there's this murder, once, 12 people have been killed, then the cartoons themselves are a news item, right? And the New York Times with the Danish cartoon took the position, well, we can just describe these cartoons and that's sufficient. And I don't actually think that that's sufficient. If you describe a cartoon, that's not the same as seeing the image. In some case, the image itself is the source of the controversy and has a power that words alone don't have. If there's a difference between, saying, oh, it shows Muhammad naked, to actually seeing Muhammad naked. So just as a news thing, as a newsworthy...
Yeah, because the New York Times wouldn't publish a naked cartoon of anyone. I mean, they wouldn't. I mean, that's their policy. But I take your point.
Yeah.
That's not quite what I'm saying.
No.
These are separate issues. Should the Associated Press, in reporting on this show, the cartoon, that's separate from the question of should someone who thought it was a bad idea to publish a cartoon go now plaster it over their website, because otherwise they're failing the First Amendment or something.
Yeah. Well, I would go even a little bit further than that, which is I think the way to deal with these offensive images, first of all, is not to celebrate them or sacralize them, which is a danger. I mean, it's kind of ironic that Charlie Hebdo, which is the great irreverent magazine that has no piety, is now suddenly becoming sacralized as these heroes of free speech.
That was kind of a point Goldhammer made.
Yeah, Goldhammer made that point, which I think is a very powerful point. And we see George Packer in the New Yorker had this thing like, "We are all Charlie." Like that's almost like subverting the meaning of.
That's the kind of thing that makes me sick. Yes, I mean
Yeah,
we are in the sense that we all uphold the right to publish this kind of stuff.
Yeah. But even beyond the right to publish, I actually think like the question is, how do we deal with this stuff? And I actually think that there's actual value, not just in news reporting, but in the criticism itself. Like I actually thought with the Danish cartoon, my friend Art Spiegelman, who's a cartoonist, had like the best approach. He did a piece in Harper's where he went into the history of offensive cartooning, reprinted those cartoons. I think Harper's was the only major outlet in North America that reprinted the Danish cartoons, and he analyzed them. He analyzed them like what is being said here, and Art's point was that the only way we can detoxify these images is through further speech. That the only response. I mean, I do think that it's fair to see these cartoons as a form of vile speech. I wouldn't use hate speech as a legal term, but I mean they're offensive speech. But if they're offensive and problematic speech, then we kind of need like further speech, and if we even like further cartoons to respond to them, right? Like I think.
Would you say the same thing about this Seinfeld comedian who spewed the N-word and then he was condemned? If someone had killed him, would you say, well, we should all go around yelling the N-word for a while?
Well, no, because what I'm not saying is that we should yell the N-word. What I'm saying is that if we have...
But wait, I mean...
I think that if he said something, that was offensive and got him killed, then I think if you're doing a news report, then you have to actually quote what he said.
Okay, that's fine, but I thought...
And then I think it's actually valuable to quote what he said and then do an analysis. And then because it's something that's out there in the culture and it has a potency, right? Like, I think, like, the original step is,
actually, the news reports didn't quote the word. They used, they either said the N-word or a racial epithet or something. They didn't quote the word. And it was fine. Everybody knew what it was, but I thought you were saying that Spiegelman, I may have lapsed or misinterpreted you. I thought you were saying Spiegelman was kind of standing up for we should all republish this cartoon school. And I'm just saying, if that's the idea, should everyone go around spewing the N-word if somebody who does that is killed?
No. I mean, I agree that like not everybody. The way people are reprinting these images is irresponsible. Because they're just turning them into these symbols of free speech without analyzing what they are, why they caused offense. And so I think that I would agree with you that that's problematic. But I mean, I do think that there's value once there is sort of like an offensive thing out there in the culture. There's actual value in like reprinting it and analyzing it.
Yeah, but